US President Donald Trump responded to Russia's statement that Ukraine allegedly attacked the state residence of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin in the Valdai region of Novgorod Oblast.
Honestly, I don't know anything about this. I just heard about it, but, so to speak, I don't know anything about it. That would be very bad.
According to Trump, Putin personally told him about the attack during their last phone conversation.
President Putin told me about it early in the morning. He said that he was attacked. That's unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Don't forget, I stopped the delivery of Tomahawk missiles.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy denied the claims about an attack on Putin's residence and said that the Russians are spreading fake news to justify their strikes on Ukraine and to further prolong the war. The world's key intelligence agencies must have access to real information. According to the President of Ukraine,
these very dangerous statements from Moscow are clearly aimed at undermining all the achievements of Ukraine's joint work with the team of US President Donald Trump. Russia is laying the groundwork for strikes on government buildings in Kyiv.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov stated that, allegedly, on the night of December 29th, the Ukrainian armed forces attempted to attack the state residence of Russian dictator Vladimir Putin in the Valdai area of the Novgorod region. According to him, Russia's negotiating position will be revised because of the attack.
The targets for retaliatory strikes and the timing of their execution by the Russian armed forces have been determined. At the same time, we do not intend to withdraw from the negotiation process with the United States.
The official representative of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, stated that Russia's response to Ukraine's attack on Putin's residence will be undiplomatic. Notably, residents of Valdai, where Putin's residence is located, did not notice dozens of drones flying over, nor any alerts about the attack, and did not hear any explosions, according to opposition Russian media. Although Lavrov claimed there was an attack involving 91 drones. Journalists spoke with locals and concluded that the information about a massive attack is not confirmed. In a small settlement like this, it would be impossible to hide such an event. At the same time, the residents and surrounding strategic facilities are well protected by air defense systems. However, no one heard any explosions or the sound of drones. President Volodymyr Zelenskyy named the conditions under which Ukrainian troops would withdraw from Donbas. In an interview with Fox News, he stated that Ukraine cannot simply give up these territories and explained what kind of compromise might be possible regarding the Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Thus, the Ukrainian president explained that when it comes to the issue of the occupied territories, it's not about a referendum, not about parliament, and not about the president.
We can't just leave from there. That goes beyond our legislation. We can't simply give up our territories. And it's not just about the law. People live there, about 300,000 people. We can't just lose these people. We can't leave, because hundreds of thousands have been wounded there and tens of thousands have died. Besides, our army is there.
At the same time, Zelenskyy said that a real compromise could be the creation of a free economic zone with special rules.
It's not just about the law, but also about the reality on the ground. That's why we proposed, as I see it, a compromise, the creation of a free economic zone. If we withdraw by several kilometers, then Russia must take reciprocal steps and also pull back its forces by several kilometers. Special rules will apply in such a free economic zone.
Zelenskyy emphasized that Ukraine will only agree to such a solution if Ukrainian voters approve it in a referendum. Zelenskyy also believes that the war could end in 2026. The president stated that Russia mobilizes 43,000 people every month, but this year, for the first time, the size of the Russian army has stopped growing.
That is why we believe that the war will end in 2026. Otherwise, Putin will have to mobilize people, and he does not want problems with his own people.
Earlier, Zelenskyy stated that Ukrainians are striving for a just peace. Although 87% of Ukrainian citizens are in favor of peace, at the same time, 85% do not support the withdrawal of defense forces from Donbas. At the same time, Russia insists on the withdrawal of Ukrainian troops from the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, calling this a supposedly necessary condition for ending hostilities. In China, the movement of intercontinental ballistic missiles disguised as mobile screens was recorded, likely in order to mislead satellites. Currently, military exercises are ongoing around the island of Taiwan, the apparent goal of which is to practice cutting off logistics and other elements of an invasion of the island. Analysts believe that the military exercises around Taiwan being conducted by China are essentially a rehearsal for the capture and blockade of key areas of the island. According to statements from Beijing, this is a warning to separatist forces. According to reports from the Chinese military, the exercises involve ground forces, naval forces, air forces, and missile troops. The exercises, codenamed Justice Mission 2025, are taking place just a few days after the United States announced the sale of one of its largest arms packages to Taiwan, worth $11 billion. This decision provoked a sharp reaction from Beijing, which responded by imposing sanctions against American defense companies. In addition, China is outraged by Taiwan's plans to strengthen its own defense capabilities this year. Beijing considers the island to be its territory. It has also become known that China has deployed 100 intercontinental ballistic missiles on the border with Mongolia. According to a draft Pentagon report, China has deployed DF-31 missiles in 3 provinces, likely for a strike against Taiwan, although the exact targets are not specified. The Russian Federation has confirmed its support for China's position regarding Taiwan. This was stated by the head of the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sergei Lavrov, in an interview with TASS agency. Lavrov emphasized that Russia considers Taiwan an integral part of China and opposes any form of independence for the island.
Former Italian Prime Minister Massimo D'Alema, after meeting with dictator Vladimir Putin, reported that the Russian president looked emaciated and was being supported by 2 people. This was reported by the publication Il Giornale. Information about Putin's health problems has been discussed for a long time. Cancer, Parkinson's disease, and hormonal syndromes are among the diagnoses being discussed in international media. It is reported that the president of Russia, obsessed with privacy, has his security guards collect samples of his feces and urine during foreign trips to prevent any genetic tracking. In 2019, a video was recorded in Paris showing him leaving a restroom accompanied by 6 security guards carrying a briefcase. The ritual continues to this day, even during his recent visit to Alaska, where he met with Donald Trump. For Western intelligence agencies, the leader's clinical data is considered a real goldmine, according to analysts. Meanwhile, it has become known that a hospital was built for the Kremlin ruler, Vladimir Putin, in a new palace in the temporarily occupied Crimea, according to the Anti-Corruption Foundation. It has everything needed for comprehensive medical care for the dictator, a general practitioner's office with modern ultrasound and diagnostic equipment, a fully equipped dental office, an operating room, and a pre-operative room with high-tech equipment, including ventilators and anesthesia drugs. Earlier, the publication Proc reported that Putin is accompanied by doctors during his trips. For example, in 2022, a team of about 9 medical professionals was in Sochi at the same time as the president. An ambulance is almost always included in the motorcade of the head of state. Putin has long been interested in rejuvenation practices. His daughter, an endocrinologist, studies cell renewal, and he himself publicly discusses the possibility of radically extending human life. It was also reported that in September of this year, during an informal conversation with Xi Jinping, Putin spoke about biotechnologies that could make people ever younger, even achieve immortality. On December 30th, on the eve of the new year, more than 50 flights are delayed and about 10 have been cancelled for both departures and arrivals at Kaliningrad Krabrovo Airport due to poor weather conditions. The Regional Ministry of Emergency Situations has issued a warning about strengthening winds in the Kaliningrad region. The Kaliningrad region is receiving unfavorable forecasts not only from meteorologists but also from the military. As stated by the commander of the U.S. Army in Europe and Africa, General Christopher Donahue, the Kaliningrad region is surrounded on all sides by NATO member countries, and the North Atlantic Alliance could wipe it off the face of the earth in an unprecedentedly short time and even faster. The comments made by Christopher Donahue have already received a response in the Russian Federation. Thus, the head of the State Duma Committee on International Affairs, Leonid Slutsky, stated that a NATO attack on the Kaliningrad region would lead to retaliatory measures from Russia, including those provided for in the nuclear doctrine. Meanwhile, Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, during a live Q&A session, declared that Russia would destroy threats to the Kaliningrad region, if such threats arise.
We will destroy these threats. And everyone must fully understand and clearly realize this, that actions of this particular kind will simply lead to a significant escalation of the conflict on a scale never before seen. They will take it to a completely different, more dangerous level and expand it up to a large-scale armed conflict.
Speaking about the threats of a blockade of the Kaliningrad region, he expressed hope that this would not happen. Earlier, former commander of the European Corps, General Jarosław Gromadzinski, stated that Poland and other NATO countries could, if necessary, strike the Kaliningrad region due to threats from Russia. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko stated that NATO is practicing scenarios for blocking the Russian region during its exercises. Peace in Ukraine is getting closer. The key outcome of the recent negotiations was the US declaration on security guarantees, including the deployment of American troops in Ukraine. This statement was made by Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk.
We have assessed the results of the first stage of serious negotiations involving the leaders of Ukraine, the US, the EU, and Canada. Peace has appeared on the horizon. There is no doubt that events have taken place that give reason to hope this war could end quickly. But it is still just hope. We are still far from 100% certainty.
According to Tusk, the US has declared its readiness to participate in security guarantees for Ukraine after a peace agreement is signed. He noted that the security guarantees include the presence of American troops, for example, at the border or along the line of contact between Ukraine and Russia.
These unequivocal declarations have appeared for the first time. Let's see how consistent our partners on the other side of the Atlantic will be. But this gives hope that these negotiations will end in success. By success, I mean the end of the war.
Meanwhile, in China, there is eager anticipation for the achievement of a binding peace agreement that would eliminate the root causes of the crisis and bring lasting peace to Europe. This was stated by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi.
The Ukrainian crisis has been going on for almost 4 years now, and throughout this time, China has been persistently working to create conditions for peace and mutual understanding among all parties.
According to him, as one of the initiators of the Friends of Peace group on the Ukrainian crisis, China sincerely welcomes all efforts that contribute to its peaceful resolution and is actively cooperating with other parties to achieve a ceasefire and promote dialogue.
Today, a window for negotiations has opened, and there are cautious hopes that peace is drawing nearer. Although the road ahead remains difficult, China is ready to continue playing a constructive role and looks forward to achieving a comprehensive, lasting, and binding peace agreement to address the root causes of the conflict and achieve lasting peace and stability in Europe.
It should be noted that earlier it was reported that NATO believes China and Russia could attack Europe and Taiwan simultaneously.